Hi, folks. I wish I weren't so tired. This is Mark by Mark A. Foster, Ph.D., for the Institute for Dialectical Meta-Realism. I'm watching this fascinating video by a man who served on the Universal House of Justice for more than 2 decades, Cooper C. Dunbar, and I will include a link to the video directly below this video. I would suggest that you watch the entire thing. Do not just watch the first half. The second half, in my opinion, is extremely interesting. Not to say the first half is not, but the second half is extremely interesting. Sorry for saying that twice, but it's important. Watch the entire video. The video, parts of the video that I found to be absolutely fascinating were actually statements that were written down by a woman who worked for the beloved guardian Shoghi Effendi. As you might know, people who went on pilgrimage were not permitted to write down pilgrim's notes while they were in the presence of the beloved guardian. They had to wait until the meeting was over, and then they could write down the notes later. Well, there were a couple of people who had special permission from Shoghi Effendi to write down notes as Shoghi Effendi was speaking. And so these notes that were read by Cooper Dunbar were precisely that. Apparently, she put together several books of those notes, and Cooper Dunbar was only able to access one of them. But what he said, my goodness, you need to watch this video from beginning to end. I will just summarize a few of the points. I don't want to take away any of the excitement from watching the thing for yourself. Basically, one thing, for example, according to what Dunbar said, when we die, we go into a special next world, and that's my own term, that is entirely for people from the earth. Then eventually, what eventually means, I have no idea, but eventually that heaven or that world that we are in will become united with one or more other heavens, where we will then get the opportunity to meet people who resided on other planets. Now, that was not what I thought. My expectation until watching that video was, well, as soon as I die, I will have the opportunity to meet people from far off galaxies, maybe from other universes. But according to what Dunbar said, that is not the case. Who cares? I mean, it's an eternity of wondrous exploration in the worlds of God. In addition, in this world, the earth, when we are here, there are creatures on every planet in our solar system. That's my understanding of what he said. You might have a different understanding, but that's the conclusion that I drew. And at some point, the planets on our solar system, the beings on those planets, will unite together. Now, that might sound hard to understand, given the fact that, for example, we look at Mars, and there is no evidence of any civilizations on Mars. There are some NASA photographs which do show monuments, possibly, hieroglyphic tablets, possibly, which may, if they are accurate, and I'm not saying that they are, indicate that there was a civilization on Mars in the past. But nothing, as far as I know, that would show that there are actually people living on Mars right now, or on Venus, or whatever, any other planet within our solar system. But this is my own speculation. This is not something that Cooper Dunbar said. Is that, well, we do not yet have the faculties to perceive the beings on those planets. They may be in, for lack of a better term, what we might call a different dimension. And at the proper time, a prophet of God might come who will give us the faculties that we need to see people, entities, whatever they're called, living on those other planets. And then we will think, well, why didn't we see them all along? Well, we didn't have the ability to see them. Apparently, at least to my understanding, it will take an additional sense. And so at that point, all of the people on those different planets in our solar system will become united. Then later on, different solar systems and the beings on them will become united with each other. Then eventually, those solar systems will all become united into the entire galactic system. And who knows what is beyond that? Maybe galaxies with galaxies, maybe universes with universes. That is only my speculation. But if you watch this video, you will know why I am making it. I think that is a logical thing to say based upon what Hooper Dunbar says in the video. It is a wonderful thing to watch. Again, it is something I had never considered precisely that way before. Now, are there people who have reported seeing what people commonly call UFOs, although apparently the US government has another initial for them, but whatever, abbreviation for them? Apparently, yes. And in a Pilgrim's note, and this is strictly a Pilgrim's note, The Guardian reportedly said that just as we are sending explorers to other planets, why should we assume that people from other planets are not sending explorers to the Earth? So that seems like a reasonable speculation. I don't know if that makes it true. A speculation can sound perfectly reasonable and be wrong. How many people have made speculations about how the world works? For example, the Earth is flat. Well, actually, the idea of a flat Earth, although still accepted by some strange people today, has not been accepted on a wide scale for a long time. For example, when Columbus the Conqueror, as I call him, came to the Americas, he didn't think that the Earth was flat, contrary to what some people think. He understood that the Earth was round. Now, he was searching for the West Indies, and instead he found the Americas, but nonetheless, he was not expecting to fall off the edge of the Earth and be consumed by monsters and dragons. No, that was not what Columbus imagined. But nevertheless, there were a lot of weird ideas that existed in the past. Many, many weird ideas. You only have to go back to the 19th century when people believed commonly that the reason why we get ill is because of bad air, called miasma. Miasma. That's the origin of the term asthma, bad air. And if you were exposed to this bad air, that you could get ill. So consequently, many people would walk around with cylinders of perfume, spraying that perfume in front of them so they would not be exposed to the bad air and supposedly not get sick. And of course, they got sick anyway because that doesn't work. People would dump their waste into a river and then use that same river for their drinking water and wonder, why am I still getting ill? Well, obviously, because you are consuming waste, but it didn't smell bad, so it must be okay. Surgeons would perform surgery without scrubbing because there was no idea of germs. All of a sudden, well, not literally all of a sudden, but 3 people almost simultaneously came up with germ theory. Louis Pasteur was one of them. The reason why Pasteur gets credit was because he was the first person to publish his findings. Simultaneous discovery is extremely common in science. Why? Well, because scientific knowledge progresses at a steady pace for a while, and then all of a sudden it reaches a point where several different trains of thought begin to come together. And so inevitably, several people will observe that fusion of ideas. And so it is common for numerous people or several people to come to the same or similar scientific conclusions at roughly the same time. So people have believed in weird things for a long time. So that's nothing to be surprised about. And I think that we can look at the Earth and whatever people might have thought the Earth was, the Earth dragons on one end and serpents on the other, whatever. That was a long time ago again. That was not back when Columbus was around. And think, well, how do we really know that this is really going to happen? Well, in this case, because apparently Shoghi Effendi said so, at least according to what Hooper Dunbar is saying. How exciting, how absolutely fascinating that what I thought was not true. I am always happy to be shown to have been apparently incorrect. That's fine. I love being challenged. Any academic worth her or his salt loves, enjoys, yearns to be challenged. I want to be challenged all the time. The fact that I'm retired and I'm not surrounded by other professors means that I don't get challenged as much as I did. So I have to literally go out, generally online, and seek out challenges, which I do, or challenge myself, because otherwise there would be no challenges coming to me. And challenges are what keeps one alive. If we surround ourselves with an echo chamber, it may feel good, but we are not going to learn. So even though what Shoghi Effendi apparently said contradicts my earlier ideas, namely that I would go into the next world and immediately meet people from Mars or from some other planet in a distant galaxy, that's probably not true, or that may not be true. So what? We are going into a world of eternality with many worlds, many realms of existence. I don't need to tell you any more details, really, because the specifics are all in Hooper Dunbar's talk. So again, I would strongly suggest that you watch it, take notes, whatever. If you are a YouTube Plus subscriber, download it. I am, so I can download it. By the way, downloading it does not mean you will download an actual MP4 file. It'll be downloaded into some hidden part of your computer. I expect that I could download the MP4 and save it in a directory or on a flash drive, but that's not true. So regardless, you can still download it in other ways if you know what I'm talking about. I hope you watch it. If you do, if you have any interesting thoughts on it, I would like to hear them. Please leave me some comments, which are directly below the discussion section, and I will be happy to engage with you. Again, the link to Dunbar's talk is in that discussion section, and I will place it right at the top. For the time being, this has been Mark by Mark A. Foster, Ph.D., for the Institute for Dialectical Meta-Realism. Have a pleasant day and an even better day tomorrow.